Why does everybody hate Breeze? I don't get it. The map itself is nice to look at. It's pretty attack-sided. You got this jamming booth over here that plays music so you can dance with all your friends. What's not to like about this map? If you ask people around the Valorant community, something that most people seem to agree on is that Breeze just isn't a good map. And until I started watching some VODs, it never hit me why people don't like this map. But now, it makes sense to me. Valorant players are afraid of the ocean. Okay, but for real, today on SkillCapped I figured it'd be a good idea to go over Breeze, how it's played, tips to win on it, so maybe the next time you load into it, your next game, you don't hate it as much. Plus, there are some changes that are coming, or have already come, depending on when this video is released, that'll help some of this map's problems. So let's get started. So to start, whenever somebody thinks of Breeze, the first thing that comes to mind is running it down A, or running it down B, like a bunch of monkeys. There's really no in between. And honestly, it's not that bad of a play. If you look at the map as a whole, you'll notice that rotations take a long time. It takes about 30 seconds to rotate all the way from A site all the way to the half wall on the B site. This makes it so that if there isn't any stall utility, the attacking team can basically just run it down without being punished for it. What ends up happening is that the teams will just push whichever site they want and never have to worry about running into a stack. This just isn't fun, because what ends up happening is that the teammates that are playing on the opposite site get tired of playing the retake, they get tilted, and then maybe one round they get lurked on, and then they're really upset. And then maybe you guys start fighting about who can and can't hold sites, and then before you know it, nobody's really having any fun. Now, if this is happening to your team, something you need to consider is how your teammates are playing each site. One of the most common B site holds is having Viper here with her smoke and mollies clogging up the entrance to the site. You know what's awesome about this? People don't hit the B site nearly as much because it's awkward to take, and it takes too long to get onto the site itself, forcing the enemy team to get pinched, flanked, run into a stack, run through her mollies and get shredded. You get my point. But since your Viper is playing B, you really need to consider what you can use to slow and stall the enemy team down on A, to buy time for these long rotates. This is usually why you'll see Jets, Chambers, Reynas playing in these off angles to try and get one and get away. This obviously makes it a 5v4, making the retake a whole lot easier. But the issue with this is that you can't always rely on your duelists to get one and then get out. So if they start having trouble, you need to either move your Viper or find another way to stall. Maybe you could have two duelists fighting A main, working off one another, or having your Sage slow and wall them off. Once you can slow down these rushes, then defending becomes much easier as you can find holes in the opponent's offense. Maybe they try to split A through double doors, well then that means they probably have nobody in halls, so a quick flank might be possible. Or if they split B, you could peek them from double doors and try to punish them for it. Another quick way that can solve these long rotation times is by going through mid. By rotating through mid, you're drastically reducing the time it takes to help your team on A. But do be careful, as some teams will have a lurker, so you might want to throw a Skybird or a Sova arrow out there before you sprint through mid. But it still is a great way to punish people who just 5-maned up A or B main. Now, in case you don't like other maps like Fracture or Split, we have other guides on SkillCapped.com that'll go in depth on each of them and show you the optimal way to play each one of them. Or if you want your VOD reviewed by one of us and possibly featured in one of our future videos, we can do that too. Or maybe you're just interested in understanding defaults better or mastering your newest favorite agent. We can help you with all that too. So what are you waiting for? If you're looking for the fastest way to improve at Valorant, be sure to check out SkillCapped.com, a link in the description below. Now kids, be careful. I'm going to show you something that might scare some of you, anger some of you, maybe even make you cry. So here's your warning. Yes, what you just saw was everybody's worst nightmare, an operator. Especially in lower ranks, what I tend to notice is that nobody really knows how to counter the op. So, if the enemy team knows how to work picks with it pretty well, it can completely win the game for their team. Breeze is full of these long angles, perfectly suited for this weapon. But what people have to realize is that the operator is a part of the game. It's a big risk, big reward type weapon. And the sooner you stop typing in chat and complaining about somebody using it and start trying to counter it, you'll become a lot better player faster. So how do you do it? Well, for starters, if you're going A, you're going to obviously need a Viper. Yes, the other controllers can work, but if you want the most effective smokes, you're going to want Viper. She denies the most amount of angles where an operator can play, and her orb is super awesome as it blocks the cross of double doors, halls. Literally, just pick Viper, please. Next, you're going to need some form of utility that you can use to scale up the site with. Sova's Owl Drone, Sky's Dog, or even Reyna flashes are enough to make the opera get off a certain angle. The key here is that you can't just use this utility, but you have to scale up with it and protect it, almost like you would on A-side Icebox. This means using Viper's wall to protect the drone so that the enemy can't shoot the drone or dog for their op user. I even recommend flashing for the drone so that it can get further up the site and help you guys get in. Sova's drone and Sky's Dog are like budget Phoenix ultimates in a way. You can trade off it, gain information, and honestly, they're just Probably one of the most powerful pieces of utility in the game. So if you're facing against an operator, you really need to communicate these things to your team as you're getting ready to enter a site. I mean, think about it. During the post plant, how important are Sky's dog and Sova's drone? Not that important, right? So why not use them to get into the site to begin with? Another thing I want to talk about is how no one really understands how to play the map. And the thing about Breeze and a lot of other maps is that you really need to understand map control. Map control is essentially holding certain parts of the map that would be critical to the other team. For example, if you wanted to split A good idea would be go through halls and A main. From here you can pinch the site from two different and hard to defend angles. And with this new patch, Riot has made it so that you can't just spam the door shut, making the strat that much better. And speaking of changes that Riot made to Breeze, they seriously gave A site a much needed makeover, and it's a lot easier to defend on now. The shipping container in the back allows defenders to hold the back of site a bit easier as their team comes in for the retake. And it may not look like it, but holding that backside area is still a really important part of map control. Without it, your retakes start from much further back and make it much harder to clear everything. The same thing goes for resite. The new additions make it much easier to defend the site and get out if you get mollied or arrowed or shocked or something. You can stall for much longer than before and rat your way around the site to try and set yourself up for a kill before you end up going down. Overall, these changes are going to really help the defenders on this map and hopefully make it more enjoyable to play on. So back to my map control point. Something else that I see teams do is that they'll split A through double doors using a Viper Smoke or a Sage Wall or even a Jet Cloudburst. The one player will usually lurk around in mid, around said wall or smoke, in order to punish somebody that rotates through mid or even go through a late lurk. Or same goes for B site. You probably want somebody sticking around in B main or window to watch for flanks and have a pretty decent and hard to clear angle to spray the bomb at from. All in all, map control is a huge part of Breeze, and in the higher ranks, you'll find that good players can stop these fast 5-man pushes, and then when those don't work, these coordinated pushes are going to help break some of that stall that they're using in those choke points. Lastly, one concept that I want to go over that can be super annoying are lineups. There's always that one Viper main that just doesn't really know how to play the game properly. Like they can't shoot, they can't, use their wall correctly because they're just thinking about their smoke orb lineup and the fuel they're saving for, their mollies. And then the only thing that guy comes is, guys, I have lineups. Just plant right here, and then he just spam pings the same spot 80 times. The annoying part of these lineups is that they can work pretty well if your teammates are able to stall long enough. And it can be pretty frustrating to play against if you have no counter. Well, in order to counter this lineup, Larry, you're going to need to flank, with at least more than one person. This forces the Viper to have to take fights that she normally wouldn't want to, and forces her off of her lineup spots. So instead of retaking through double doors, you want to go a little further and push through their spawn. And the same concept applies to B site. Flank through tunnel or wrap around mid to push that stinky Viper who just baits her team for her lineups. So, this was all just one in-depth guide that we have on our website though. Also, like I mentioned before, if you want a chance at having your VOD reviewed, be sure to subscribe on our website at SkillCapped.com. We also have tons of Radiant Smurf commentaries where we have Radiant players walking through exactly how to play in any situation at almost any rank. And they're just super helpful to see in real time what goes through a top tier player's head. Like I said, it's also backed by a rank improvement guarantee, and the reason we do that is because we are just that confident that our service works. So I hope this video helped you guys hate Breeze a little less. It can be a fun map with enough teamwork, just like any other. I get it. It's super frustrating getting opt or playing against a Viper with lineups from Timbuktu and not knowing how to play against it, but now you can take what we talked about today, outplay your opponents, and try to farm some elo. As always, if you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel down below. It really does help us out. And that's all for us. I'm Teets, and we here at SkillCapped want to thank you all for watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.